So, uh, have you ever been online and felt like something's well off?
Hmm.
Like maybe that really enthusiastic comment or, that breaking news headline.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it wasn't actually written by a person.
It's a common feeling these days, I think.
Well, you might not be far off, actually. According to Imperva's 2023 report, nearly half of all internet traffic, get this, 49.6%, is automated.
Almost half. Yeah.
Think about that for a second. It really makes you wonder just how much of what we see online is, genuine human interaction anymore,
Absolutely. And that leads us straight into today's topic.
which is this whole dead internet theory.
Exactly. And what's fascinating here is the central idea, which, let's be clear, is basically a contemporary conspiracy theory.
Right.
It suggests that the internet we're using right now is mainly bot activity and automatically created content.
Okay.
And proponents argue this isn't just happening by chance, it's driven by algorithms and potentially intentional manipulation.
Manipulation aimed at what exactly?
Well, the theory goes, it's aimed at controlling populations, shaping narratives, and really minimizing actual, authentic human exchange.
And they pinpoint a time for when this supposed death happened.
They generally point to around 2016 or 2017 as the period when things supposedly tipped over.
Okay, let's definitely unpack this, because as someone who, like you listening, wants to stay informed quickly, thoroughly, without getting totally bogged down, this theory probably strikes a chord. We've all felt that information overload, right? And maybe even question if some of the stuff we see online is, well, legitimate.
For sure, that feeling of, is this real?
So our goal today is to really explore the core claims of this dead internet theory. We'll look at the evidence they put forward, hear how experts are reacting.
And ultimately help you form your own informed perspective on this, well, frankly, pretty intriguing idea without getting overwhelmed by all the noise.
Precisely. And to do that, we've pulled together quite a range of sources.
Yeah, we really cast a wide net. We've got the Wikipedia entry on the theory itself, articles from big names like The Atlantic, New York Magazine.
Also, Expert Takes Some Security magazine, discussions from places like sciencefiction.com, Fast Company, The Independent, plus technical deep dives from Ars Technica.
And more. The Debrief, Financial Times, Business Insider, Gizmodo, NBC News, The Guardian, even a local source, Capiz News.
It's a huge list. We're also looking at Analytics India magazine, The Swaddle, academic papers from AI and Society, reports from the World Economic Forum, Time magazine, stuff from OpenAI.
Plus think tanks like the Copenhagen Institute for Future Studies, academic publishers like CRC Press and the New Atlantis, findings from the A-Life 2024 conference.
And even diving into the culture side, Agora Road's Macintosh Cafe, The Week UK, some literary magazines like Feathertale, Encyclopedia.com, the Renshitification subreddit.
And believe it or not, even what nationaldaysit.com's page on National Make Me a Sandwich Day.
Okay, you'd have to explain that last one later.
It gives a weirdly relevant glimpse into online discourse evolution. But the point is, this mix gives us lots of angles, academic, journalistic, forum chatter.
Right. So we can really get into the origins, the main claims, the so-called evidence, and crucially, the expert critiques and counter-arguments.
Our mission, basically, is to give you a clear, concise understanding of this whole complex thing.
Okay, let's do it. Starting at the beginning.
Yeah.
Where did this idea really pick up steam?
Well, the exact origin is a bit murky. Bits and pieces might have been floating around for a while. But a key moment seems to be a 2021 post.
Where was that?
On a forum called Agora Road's Macintosh Cafe, specifically on one of their, let's say, more niche boards. A user named Illumina Pirate posted something titled Dead Internet Theory. Most of the internet is fake.
Illumina Pirate, okay.
Yeah, and that post is widely seen as really popularizing the term. Wikipedia notes it built on earlier chats on that forum, and another one called Wizard Chan. So it kind of bubbled up from these, relatively underground online spots.
Interesting. From niche forums to broader awareness. How did that jump happen?
Mostly through coverage in more mainstream media, it seems. The Atlantic ran a piece in 2021. Maybe you missed it, but the internet died 5 years ago. That article gets cited constantly.
Ah, okay. So the Atlantic piece was kind of the amplifier.
It seems that way. It really pushed the theory into the wider public conversation, becoming a reference point for a lot of later discussions.
Got it. So origins traced. Now, what are the fundamental claims? What exactly are believers saying is happening?
Okay, it generally boils down to two main intertwined claims. First, the idea that real, organic human activity online is just being swamped.
Swamped by what?
by bots primarily, and also by algorithmically curated search results. Think about search engines, they might say millions of results, but what you actually see on page one, that's a tiny, highly filtered fraction.
That definitely rings true. And this isn't a totally new anxiety, is it? I think that original Illumina Pirate post mentioned an older New York Magazine article.
Yeah. How much of the internet is fake? Turns out a lot of it, actually. So the underlying worry about fake stuff online has been around. The dead internet theory just takes it, several steps further.
How so?
It suggests search engines, like Google, aren't just filtering, they're actively censoring, in a way. Limiting what they index, controlling what results you're shown.
So the idea is we're only seeing a pre-selected, maybe even artificial, slice of the web.
That's the argument, that we're restricted to this curated diet. And they also bring up link rot. Websites disappearing, links breaking.
Right, making the accessible web feel smaller over time.
Exactly. And this feeds into what some proponents call the Potemkin village theory of Google.
A Potemkin village, like
Yeah.
a fake front.
Pretty much. The idea that what we see is just a carefully built facade, and the real web behind it is much smaller, much less vibrant than we think.
Okay, so that's claim one, bots and algorithms taking over, maybe shrinking our view. What's the second part?
The second part adds intent. Malicious intent, potentially. Believers propose that various powerful groups, state actors, big corporations, you name it, are deliberately pushing this curated, artificial, maybe AI-generated content.
For what purpose?
To manipulate the population. The original Illuminate Pirate post, its thesis, specifically mentioned the U.S. government using artificial intelligence-powered gaslighting on everyone.
Oh, okay. That's quite a claim. Gaslighting the entire world population.
Yeah, so it's not just, oh, there are more bots now. It's there are more bots because someone wants them there to control us. That's the core conspiracy element.
Right. Definitely escalates things. So putting aside the forum post for a moment, what do experts, academics, tech analysts make of all this?
Well, opinions are mixed, as you'd expect, but there's a general theme. Acknowledging some of the underlying trends while being pretty skeptical about the full-blown conspiracy.
Okay. Like what trends?
Like the increase in bot traffic. That's measurable, verifiable data. But Caroline Busta from New Models quoted in that Atlantic article called much of the theory a paranoid fantasy.
Harsh. But did she see any merit in it?
She did concede that the overarching idea about bot traffic and sort of the integrity of the internet, those are valid concerns. So even skeptics often agree there are real issues here, even if they don't buy the whole conspiracy package.
So distinguishing between observable tech shifts and the interpretation of why they're happening. Any other expert takes?
Robert Mariani, writing in the New Atlantis, kind of split the difference. He described it as a mix, part genuine conspiracy theory, part internet creepypasta.
Creepypasta, like those online horror stories.
Exactly, those unsettling, often fictional tales that spread online. And interestingly, Wikipedia also notes that by 2024, people sometimes use dead internet theory more loosely.
How so?
Just to describe the sheer amount of content being generated by large language models, LLMs, like ChatGPT, without necessarily implying the whole manipulation plot. The term itself is kind of evolving.
That makes sense. As AI content becomes more common, the label gets attached to that phenomenon itself.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's dig into the evidence proponents' site. What are they actually pointing to?
Right, the supporting pillars. A huge one is the rise of large language models, LLMs.
It's like the GPT series.
Exactly. These AI models can generate text that's incredibly human-like. Timothy Shoup from the Copenhagen Institute for Future Studies made a prediction back in 2022.
What did he predict?
He suggested that if something like GPT-3 gets loose, essentially becomes widely and uncontrollably used, we could see 99 to 99.9% of online content being AI generated by 2025 to 2030.
99%. Wow. That's almost everything.
It's a staggering prediction, and forecasts like that absolutely fuel the dead internet narrative. It paints a picture of humans just being drowned out.
And it's not just predictions, right? Google itself has acknowledged issues.
They have. In 2024, Google said they were seeing more and more content in search results that seemed made for search engines, not people. SEO spam, essentially.
Right, content designed to game the algorithm.
Precisely. And a Google spokesperson talking to Gizmodo admitted that generative AI is accelerating this trend, and it could potentially push out more valuable human-created stuff.
So even the gatekeepers are seeing a shift in what's filling the web. And the worry isn't just about text, is it? Bots interacting.
Definitely. There's concern about LLM-powered bots just flooding platforms with spam, or worse, getting into these weird feedback loops, self-replicating prompts.
What does that mean?
Imagine bots triggering each other, generating endless automated requests based on automated outputs, just noise overwhelming systems.
This was discussed at the A-Life 2024 conference.
Okay.
And then, of course, the public release of ChatGPT in late 2022 was huge. Suddenly, powerful LLMs were in everyone's hand,
Right, not just labs anymore.
which really amplified fears that actual human voices would just get lost in an ocean of AI chatter.
Makes sense. Okay, so LLMs are one major piece of evidence. What else? Bot traffic numbers.
Yes, those numbers are key. Back in 2016, Imperva, the cybersecurity firm we mentioned, reported that automated programs, bots, were responsible for 52% of all web traffic.
More than half, even back then. Exactly. That statistic became foundational for the theory. Now, their 2023 report showed a slight dip overall to 49.6%, but that was actually up 2% from 2022.
And why the recent increase?
Imperva partly attributed it to AI models scraping the web for training data. So yeah, the massive presence of non-human traffic is a quantifiable fact, whatever you conclude from it.
Nearly half the internet traffic.
Yeah.
Automated.
That's wild.
Yep.
Okay, the theory also points fingers at specific platforms. Let's talk Facebook. What's the issue there?
Well, in 2024, we saw that weird phenomenon of AI slop going viral.
AI slop.
Yeah, these bizarre, often low-quality AI-generated images, things like, I don't know, Shrimp Jesus or other surreal combinations,
Yeah.
often flooded with generic AI comments like, Amen,
Shrimp Jesus? Seriously?
stuff like that. And proponents see it as proof the platform is becoming overrun with meaningless non-human content.
Certainly sounds uncanny. And Facebook is integrating AI more directly too, right? Yes. They rolled out an option for AI to generate responses in groups, either if someone tags it Meta AI or if a question just sits there unanswered for an hour.
So AI jumps in if humans don't.
Pretty much. And looking ahead, there was a lot of chatter around January 2025 when Meta talked about plans for new AI-powered autonomous accounts.
Autonomous accounts, like AI users.
Basically, yeah. Accounts with their own profiles, bios, generating their own content, acting like users. Connor Hayes at Meta mentioned this, reported by the Debrief in Financial Times. Definitely raises questions about who or what is in our feeds.
Yeah, blurring the lines significantly. What about Reddit? How does it fit in?
Reddit's interesting. Historically, they had a free API, right? Which was great for moderation tools, but also heavily used to train AI models on all that human conversation.
Until they started charging for API access in 2023.
Exactly, which caused a big uproar. But the assumption is AI companies are still finding ways to train on Reddit data. And at the same time, users themselves, humans and bots, are using tools like ChatGPT more on Reddit.
Creating a feedback loop almost. AI, trained on Reddit, then used to post back to Reddit.
Potentially. And that worries experts like Professor Toby Walsh. He's concerned about training future AI on past AI content, a potential decline in quality, originality.
Like AI eating its own tail.
Kind of. And Professor John Liccato directly compared this potential AI flood on Reddit to the dead internet theory, the platform becoming dominated by non-human stuff.
Okay, turning to Twitter or X, what's the dead internet angle there?
A couple of things. Remember those simple tweets like "I hate texting" that went weirdly viral around 2020, getting tens of thousands of likes?
Vaguely, yeah.
Many suspected bots were inflating those likes. Dead internet proponents point to that as artificial engagement boosting mundane content. And then, of course, the whole Elon Musk takeover saga.
The bot percentage debate.
Exactly. Musk disputed Twitter's 5% claim, commissioning his own studies. Cyabra estimated 13.7%. Counteractions said 5.3%. The exact number is debatable, but everyone agrees there are lots of bots.
Serving various purposes, some legit, some not.
Right. News bots, stock bots, sure. But also trolls, spam bots, misinformation spreaders. Believers see this uncertainty and the sheer volume as more evidence that the platform isn't what it seems.
Gotcha. What about TikTok? Anything specific there?
In 2024, there was talk about TikTok offering virtual influencers to advertisers.
AI avatars selling products.
Essentially, AI-generated personalities for marketing. Michael Grothaus at Fast Company wrote about this, linking it and other AI content trends directly to the dead internet theory. He even coined a term for some of it, AI slime.
AI slime. Lovely. Okay, YouTube. Fake views have always been a thing, right?
Always. But it apparently got so bad at one point that YouTube engineers worried about something called the inversion.
The inversion, what's that?
The fear that the algorithm would start mistaking fake views for real ones and potentially downranking genuine engagement because it couldn't tell the difference anymore.
So the platform itself getting confused by the fakeness.
Exactly. And this fear, discussed on forums like Melonland, gets cited as support for the idea that authentic human activity is being drowned out or miscategorized.
Okay, one last platform-ish example. This social AI app.
Right. Social AI launched late 2024. It's an app where you only chat with AI bots. No humans involved, by design.
Huh. Why would people use that?
Well, an Ars Technica article linked it directly to the dead internet theory. The logic being, if you feel the rest of the internet is fake anyway, why not just embrace a purely AI social space? It's presented as a sort of logical, if maybe bleak, endpoint.
Wow, okay. So we've laid out a lot of the evidence. Proponents use LLMs, bot traffic, specific platform issues. But as you said earlier, experts are generally skeptical about the full conspiracy. Where do the counterarguments and nuances come in?
Well, the main thing is distinguishing correlation from causation and observable trends from proven intent. Yes, bot traffic is high. Yes, AI content is exploding. These are facts. But the leap to this is all a coordinated plot by governments or corporations to gaslight the world, that's where the evidence presented in these sources falls short. There's no smoking gun proving that specific, intentional, large-scale manipulation.
It's hard to prove such a massive, hidden conspiracy.
Incredibly hard. And honestly, the sheer speed of AI development offers a pretty plausible explanation for a lot of this without needing a secret cabal pulling the strings. The technology simply enables this scale of non-human content now.
That's a really crucial distinction. The observed phenomena are real, but the interpretation as a deliberate plot isn't necessarily supported. And we touched on related concepts that capture some of these anxieties.
Right. Things like enshittification, that feeling platforms are just getting worse, filled with junk, that connects to the enshittification subreddit we mentioned.
And AI slop for the low-quality AI content.
Exactly. And maybe brain rot for the worry about what all this poor quality stuff does to us. Plus the old standbys, filter bubbles, echo chambers, where algorithms limit our view even if the content isn't technically fake.
So even if the internet isn't dead in the conspiratorial sense, these related ideas point to real problems with the online environment we're living in.
Definitely. It taps into a genuine unease, if you want an analogy.
Yep.
It's maybe like being in a really crowded room but feeling totally disconnected. Even if everyone looks like a person, if the interactions feel shallow, automated, fake, it can still feel isolating, like something's fundamentally wrong.
That's a great analogy. It captures that gut feeling that something's off, even if you can't prove it's a global conspiracy.
Okay,
Let's wrap this up. What are the key takeaways for a listener?
quick summary. The dead internet theory claims bots and AI dominate the web, possibly due to intentional manipulation.
Right.
Evidence cited includes the rise of powerful LLMs, huge amounts of bot traffic, and weird stuff happening on platforms like Facebook, Reddit, Twitter. But while the trends, more bots, more AI content, are real and raise valid concerns about online authenticity and quality, the big conspiracy part, not definitively proven by the sources we looked at.
So the internet might be changing dramatically, getting weirder, maybe even worse in some ways, but probably not secretly dead and controlled by unseen forces. What's the relevance of understanding all this for you listening?
Well, knowing about this theory, even if you don't buy the conspiracy, helps you be a sharper online citizen.
How so?
It makes you more critical, more aware that not everything you see is human-made. It encourages you to question, to seek out reliable sources, to think about the authenticity of what you're consuming and who you're interacting with.
Good advice regardless. Which leads us to a final thought, something for you to chew on.
Even if the internet isn't dead, like the theory claims, how is all this non-human activity, all this AI content changing things?
Yeah, how is it reshaping our experience online, our understanding of information? What happens long-term when that line between human and artificial online gets blurrier and blurrier?
It's a huge question, no easy answers. Something to definitely keep thinking about as we all navigate this increasingly complex digital world.